Hey guys, Nick Biddle here coming at you with this week's drip. And this week I'm coming to you from Williamstown, Kentucky. I think I told you last week that I was headed to Louisville, Arkansas, and that was a lie. It was actually just a mistake, but there is no Louisville, Arkansas. I was actually going to Louisville, Kentucky. I actually spent a day in Louisville and a day in Evansville, Indiana, and brought my wife, my lovely wife Tarina, with me, and while the kids were at camp, and decided, let's take an extra day and let's go see that ARC exhibit, which is just south of Cincinnati. And so we're out here today. It's hot. It's pretty humid, but well worth the investment, well worth the trip out here. If you ever get an opportunity, come out and see this. But this month we've been going through a series around famous failures. And a good buddy of mine, Carl, who gets the drip every week, he asked me after the second week of drip, he said, when are you going to tell your story? And I said, no, these are famous failures. And he said, well, Nick, you're not famous, but you're definitely a failure. And so thank you for that, Carl. If you don't have a friend like Carl that's willing to kick you when you're down, you need to find one. But no, he's a good guy, and he's right. I have had my fair share of failure in my life, and it was probably, the beginning of the end was 13, 15 years ago. I was in the restaurant business, and I made some big mistakes. I got a little greedy, probably. Put a restaurant in a high-profile location and spent a little more money on it than I should have, and this would have been my fourth location. I had two ice cream stores, two restaurants at the time, and over-leveraged myself. Ended up losing over $1 million in less than 6 months. Had to fire over 150 employees right before Christmas. It was devastating. I was forced into bankruptcy, lost everything. My wife and I, we had to start over. My daughter was just born, so we were starting over. We were so broke we couldn't afford to pay attention, and we were starting over from scratch, and it was devastating. And when you find yourself making a mistake of any level, it's easy to just get down and never get back up. But for some reason, I did get back up. I dusted myself off, and I got back to work. It was shortly after that I wrote my first book, which was titled Small Business Big Mistakes, which was probably another mistake. It was a great little book, but it didn't sell, didn't do much, but I didn't quit. And I picked myself up, and I wrote another little book called Perform Like the Boss, and many of you have that book, and that book was a great success. And then I wrote Good Form and Bad Form, and then I wrote Know This, Do That, and I don't know, 40, 50,000 people across the country right now have my books, and from those books and the success that I've had speaking, I've had the opportunity to influence tens of thousands of people in the construction industry. And I often think back, what if I would have just had a pity party? What if I'd have just stayed down after I failed like I did? And I'm so glad I didn't. And I'm definitely not the founder of Apple. I'm definitely not some huge success like some of the individuals we've talked about this month. But I definitely have failed, and I want to challenge you guys to when you do find yourself down, when you do get knocked down, pick yourself back up and dust yourself off, and then get back to work, because you might be amazed at what can happen in a very short period of time if you just get back to work. Well, guys, coming to you from Williamstown, Kentucky. You can see that massive ARC behind me. Till next time, take care.